Hi folks, Ken Benton from North Branch Nature Center here to show you a few pithy craft ideas. So when I say pith, I'm talking about the center of certain sticks and trees. Their twigs have this soft spongy material inside it. So it's sticks and trees like we have staghorn sumac, and we have boxelder, and the third one we're going to work with today is elderberry, black elderberry. So there's a lot of things you can do when you have a pithy stick. We're going to be making paintbrushes, we're going to be making a bracelet or necklace, and then we can make some maple sugaring spiles, because maple sugaring season isn't quite over yet, though we're getting close. So first I'll do an up close view of the actual pith. So I'm going to bring these sticks up to you. All right, so in this hand here, we have a stick of staghorn sumac. And you can see the dark, kind of orangish piece right there in the center there. That's the pith. All the white around it, that is the wood itself. And that pith is really soft. And you see I have this paper clip, and I'm sticking the paper clip right into the pith, pushes right in. And when I was home, I had a fatter piece of metal that I stuck right through one of these staghorn sumac branches and pushed the pith out, and it came out in one long stick like this. You can see how spongy that is. Squeezing it down, it's like nature's styrofoam almost. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to push the pith out of some of our sticks here. First thing we're going to do is make a paintbrush. And I recommend using boxelder for paintbrushes. They have a nice thickness there. You take your pith, you can see it's a little smaller on the boxelder. You can take it's right there in the center. Take your paper clip, unfold it a little bit, and stick it right in there. And you're going to push it in about 1/4 of an inch or so. You're going to be really thorough. Push that all the way in. Make sure you're getting all the pith in there, that entire circle of pith, about 1/4 of an inch, because you want plenty of room to put your glue in and then put your brush material in. I'll show you the brush material in a second. All right, so that's pretty good. I'll take this back here. Now what we're going to do, you can use lots of different materials for your brush. You can use deer hair if you have access to it. I made a deer hair brush earlier today. You could use pine needles. Pine needles work great. They're easily accessible. I'll just take let's do 3 bunches of needles. All right. You're going to put them all together like so. And you're going to take your glue, and I'm using wood glue right now, but you can use just regular old Elmer's school glue or super glue or any kind of glue you have access to. You're going to take it and you're going to push it, pour it right in. There's a red squirrel calling. You can put it right into the hole that you made by pushing your pith. All right, and close that up. So here's what we got. You can see the glue right there. Got our pine needles right here. You're going to bunch the ends up together and you're going to stick them right down into that hole, right into the glue. It's a little messy, but that's okay. All right. So now you're going to let that glue dry, and then you can trim up your needles depending on how long you want it. So I want it about this long. You can use scissors, or you can just pinch them off with your fingernails. The pine needles are pretty flimsy. You let that glue dry, you have a paintbrush. Awesome. You could also use a piece of cedar bark. So I have some cedar bark I just picked up along the trail as we were walking out here. And cedar bark has a lot of fibers to it. So what you can do is soften those fibers, put it down on a rock like so. Take a smaller rock, make sure you're not pounding your fingers, make sure your fingers are far enough away over here. And just kind of gently tap it. You're breaking down those fibers a little bit just to soften it up a little bit. All right. And this is going to make a little bit stiffer brush. You can take some scissors, trim it down. And then you can take that and put it into a pithy stick. I'm using elderberry here. Elderberry has a lot more pith. The pith is whiter. I'll pour my glue in there. Fill that hole. You're going to take your brush material, stick it down in that glue. It's nice and firm. There you go. Let that glue dry. You have a wider, stiffer paintbrush. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a boxelder bead necklace. This is going to be the final product. You can take boxelder, push the pith right out, and string it onto some yarn. So in this cup here, I have some boxelder that I've already cut up into bead size. You can make them longer, you can make them smaller if you want. You can even carve designs into them. It's really cool. Into the bark. But what we're going to do is we're just going to push that pith out all the way through. You're going all the way through this time. Paper clips going all the way through, push all that pith out. This is something that even younger kids can do. It's pretty easy. I had my 4-year-old do it just yesterday and he had no problem with it. All right, so we have a boxelder bead now. What you're going to do, you can take either yarn. If you're using yarn, I recommend stringing it through a darning needle. That way you're pulling the entire bit of yarn through the bead. With yarn, it's not very stiff, it likes to fray a lot. You can't push it right through that bead. Instead, kind of twist the end up a little bit. You have to flatten it a little even more. Get it through there. And you would put it through the needle, and then you would string it through the bead. All right? But instead, right now, we're going to use fishing wire, or fishing line. That's what we got. Works a little bit easier, because you can put it right through without a needle. All right, so you're gonna first make sure you take your measurement, cut as much as you need. So wrap it around your wrist, kind of just a little loose, just loose enough so it's not gonna slide over your hand. All right, with a little bit of extra at the end here. All right, so I'm gonna cut right here. Then I'm gonna make a loop on one end. You can use any loop knot you want. I'm going to come up and do a bowline knot for you. All right, so take your string like this. You're going to loop it. All right, like so. Do that so you can see it. All right, and take this piece. Go up through that loop you just made. You're going to go around the back of your hanging string there and go back down through the loop. And you have a bowline knot with a little loop right there, right? That loop is important. You want it about big enough so you can put your little pinky finger through there. That loop's going to act as a kind of stopper for your beads. So I already have a bunch of beads that I've already pushed the pith out of. And you're just going to take the end of your string and push the bead right through there, like so. Go ahead and string them on. And you keep doing that, and then I'll show you the finished product, what we did to finish it off. All right, so this was sized up for my son. He's 4 years old, so his wrist is a lot smaller than mine. So we have our loop here, right? We strung all of our beads on, and then here at the end, we took another piece of box elder and we pushed the needle through the side of it, all the way through, so it went out both sides. You can see how it's not strung through the hole that where the pith was, but through the sides, all right? And then we tied a knot, just any knot, just a simple couple overhand knots right there to act as a stopper, all right? So now what you can do, you open your loop up, put it around your wrist. It won't fit around my wrist. And you put that toggle that you just made through the loop, and there's your bracelet. All right. The last thing we're going to do is make a maple sugaring spile. So for that, I like using either elderberry or, in this case, staghorn sumac. So you take your staghorn sumac, you'll have pushed the pith all the way out, and you can use either a potato peeler, like this. You're just going to shave the end down. Now it's important whenever you're using any carving material, carving utensil rather, that you have your hand way down behind where you're cutting. You never cut towards yourself. You never have your hand in front of the blade so that you're going to hit your hand, all right? Hold on the end that you're not working with. Take your blade with the other hand, carve away from yourself like that, all right? So what we're going to do, we're just going to create a taper. Like so, all the way around. All right, you see how it's kind of tapered off right there? And that's the end that you're going to pound into the tree after you drill your hole. And for this end, you can shape up the tip of it a little bit. You can carve the top so it's open if you want, don't have to. So long as the pith is pushed out, that sap will run right through there. All right, I am just going to clean it up a little bit, get that bark off there, because as these are sitting in the tree and they're getting wet with the sap, that bark likes to peel off a little bit and it can fall into your bucket. So it's nice having a nice clean spile to work with. It's all right having a little bit of bark at the end where you're going to put it into the tree, because that'll actually help seal the hole. But yeah, now we have a little maple sugaring spile. You drill your tree, and you would take take a soft mallet or a piece of wood, you'd tap right into the hole, and you have a maple sugaring spile. So there's 3 things that you can do with some pithy sticks. Enjoy.